So in this lecture we are going to talk about lists. Lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Okay, lists are one of four built-in data types in Python used to store collections of data. The other three are tuple, set, and dictionary. Okay, so lists are created using square brackets. This is how you can create a list. Let's make use of this variable a, and suppose you have got three items. So you can place all three items in this list like this. Fine, and then you need to press enter, and automatically your list will get created on this idle Python platform. This is what you're going to get as an output. Now when we say that lists are ordered, it means that the items have a defined order, and that order will not change. Okay, so the lists are changeable, meaning that we can change, add or remove items in a list after it has been created. Besides, a list can have duplicate values also. For example, if you have got two items with same name, so you can add them to a particular list like this. What is the output you'll get when you'll print the result? This is what you're going to get as an output. So what does this mean? List can have duplicate values since lists are indexed. Fine. Now let's talk about how can we find out the length of a particular list. So if you want to find out the length of the list, you can again use this function named length for doing the same, and this is what you're going to get as an output. The number of items which you have got in this list, that is the length of the list, and this is how you are going to get the output using this function len. Fine. Now let's talk about what should be the data type of the items that we are saving in a particular list. Let's say there is a list with name list1. Let's save these string values in that list. Okay, so we can have a string type of values in a list. Fine, we can have list2, and if suppose you have got some integer values, so can we store it in a list? Yes, we can. So this is a integer type of list where all the items are of integer types. Similarly, if you want to create a list with boolean values, how can you do it? This is how you can do it. So this is a list which has got three boolean values: true, false, and true. Now when you'll print list1, this is the output you're going to get. Similarly, if you'll print list2, this is what you're going to get as an output. Likewise, if you'll print this list3, this is what you will get in the output part. Fine. A list can contain different data types also. For example, you can define a list like this as well, which can have a string type of value also, and an integer type of value also, and also if you want to define a boolean value inside it, you can do that also. So here we have got a string type of value, two integer type values, and one boolean type of value. Let's press enter and check out whether we'll be able to create this kind of list, a list with different types of data values, data types in it. Can we create a list like this or not? Yes, we can. Let's print this list one and check out the output. So it means that we can create a list like this on Python platform. If you want to find out the type of this list one, how can we do that? So there is a keyword with name type, and let's find out the type of this list one with this function type. So what are you going to get as in the result? You are going to get this as a result, that is list. So it's a list data type which you have created. Now let's talk about how can we access items of the list. See, list items are indexed and we can access them by referring to the index number. How? Like this. If suppose you've got a list with some string values in it. So this is list 1 which I have created, and in this I have got 3 different items. Now if you want to find out, if you want to print the name of the first item, so you need to write down the name of the list first, and after that you can write down 1 like this. What are you going to get? Sorry, if you want to print the second item, because the index of this one is 0. Okay, index of this one is 0, index of this one is 1, and the index of this third item is 2. The index starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2. Now if you'll pass a command like this, so what is going to happen? The item which is present in this list on the second number, that is on index 1, it is going to get printed in the output part. Likewise, you can pass a negative value also here. Let's see what is going to happen if you'll pass a negative value. What is the output we are going to get? Now before this, I would like to tell you something. Negative indexing means start from the end. Okay, remember this thing. See, if you are passing a positive number, it means that the compiler is going to start from the beginning. And if you're passing a negative number, it is going to start from the end. Okay. Now -1 refers to the last item. -2 refers to the second last item. So what is the output you're going to get if you'll pass -1 here as in the value of this list 1? Let's see. So you are going to get this thing in the output part. Fine, as an output you're going to get black. Why? Because in negative indexing, the compiler is going to start from the end. Likewise, if suppose you'll pass 3, what is the output we are going to get? Let's check it out. So we will get apple. Why? Because the index of this one is -1, this one is -2, and of this one is -3. Okay. Now let's find out how can we work on range of indexes. You can specify a range of indexes by specifying where to start and where to end the range. Okay, when specifying a range, the return value will be a new list with the specified items. Let me show it to you practically. Let's define a list with this name list 1, and let's have some string values. Let's define some string values inside it. So these are the various list items that I am defining for this list 1. Okay, so here we have got 6 items in this list, Now let's print the range of indexes. How can we do that? We need to write down the name of the list first, list 1, and then we can make use of range like this. Okay, this is a range which I have passed over here. This is what you will get as an output now. Now why you getting this in the output part? Just because the index of this one is 0, the index of this string is 1, index of this string is 2. So this range which I've passed over here, it is going to start from this index number 2. This is the starting point of the index, right? This is the start index and this is end index point. So the compiler is going to start from here. It is going to print this thing, it is going to print this thing, the third, second, third and fourth, but fifth one will not be included. If you have seen my previous lecture, you would be knowing why this fifth one has not been included in the output part, why it has not got printed in the output part. Okay, now let's come on this thing. If you'll pass a value like this, okay, what is going to happen? So as you all know, we have already discussed about this thing in the previous lecture, that the compiler is going to start from this point and it is going to print all the string, all the items which are present in this list till this point, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 will, the string which is present on index number 5 or which has index 5, it will not be printed in the output part. Just a second, I think we have left a space in the beginning. That's the reason we didn't get the output earlier. Okay, so this is what you're going to get as an output. Fine. Likewise, if you'll pass a value like suppose this, what's gonna happen? So the compiler is going to start from second, 0, 1, 2, second, this third item whose index is 2, and it is going to print all the items including this one, including the item which is present on index number 2. So hope you have understood the difference between this thing and this thing which we have passed over here as in value. Okay, now let's come on negative indexing. If suppose instead of passing two positive values, let's pass two negative values and check out what is going to happen if we'll pass a value like this. So it should be greater, this one should be greater, because in negative indexing what happens, the compiler starts from the end. As I've already told you in the beginning, it is going to start from the end, and let's see what it is going to give us as an output if we'll go for this. So -5 to -1, this is what we are getting in the output part. Now why we are getting this thing in the output part? See, -1 is this, -2, then -3, -4, -5, -6. So because as you know that the start index is -5, so the compiler is going to include this in the output part, then -4, then -3, then -2. Okay, but the item which is falling on index number -1, it will not be included in this output. Why? Because it is the end index which we have defined over here. And remember one thing, the items which are present on this index number or after this, they doesn't get reflected in the output part. We don't get them in the output. Okay, now let's talk about if loop. If suppose you want to if you want to apply an if loop on this list which we have created over here, how can you do that? So for doing that, we can suppose if you want to find out whether let's say apple is a part of this list or not. So that's how you can do it. There is a keyword with name in. So if apple in list 1, that's what we are looking for. Now if this condition is true, we would like this thing to get printed. Yes, apple is a part of the list. Okay, we would like this thing to get printed. Let's check out the output. Yes, we are getting the output over here. So that's how you can apply an if loop and find out whether a particular item is there in the list or not. Okay, now let's come on. How can you change the list items? Now let's talk about how can we change the items of a list. To change the value of a specific item, refer to the index number. Okay, this is the key thing you have to remember. If you want to change the value of a specific item, refer to the index number. Okay, let's say there is a string, there is this list. Is a list in which we have got 4 different values. Now if suppose it is, and if suppose you want to change this item which is there present on index number 1, that is science, to something else. So this is how you can do it. Let's replace it with let's replace it with Hindi. Okay, let's replace it with Hindi. Let's see what are we going to get as an output if we'll print this list now. Print list 1. So this is what you are going to get in the output part. Maths, Hindi, Geography, History. So now Hindi has replaced the science in this list. So that's how you can refer to the index number for changing the value of of the list item or of the list. Now how can you change a range of item values? That's what we will do now. So if you want to change to change the value of items within a specific range, define a list with the new values and refer to the range of index numbers where you want to insert the new values. For example, let's make use of a range like this. Okay, this is the first string and the second string, let it be geo. Okay, so when you'll press enter, now if you'll print this list, what is going to happen? What are we going to get in the output part? So this is what you're going to get in the output part. Now what has happened? The list items which are present on this index number 1, this is the modified list. Okay, so the list item which is present on this index 1 and index number 2, they have got replaced by this. This one has got replaced by this one has got replaced by this. Okay, so the new list is something like this. Fine, so that's how you can change a range of item values. If suppose you want to insert an item in the list, how can you do that? To insert a new list item without replacing any of the existing values, we can use the insert method. Okay, remember this term, insert. So this is the name of the list which we have created. This is the method which we can use for inserting an item. Now let's insert it here. Computer. Fine. Now when you'll press enter and print this list 1, this is what you're going to get as an output. Now here the index of this one is 0, this one is 1 and of this one is 2. So on this index number 2, on which geo was there earlier, now computer is there, and geo has shifted to index number 3. So in this way you can insert an item in between the items which you already have in a particular list. Okay, isn't it amazing? Yes, it is. I know that. Now let's come on. How can you append items in a list? To add an item to the end of the list, if you want to see, with this insert you can add items to a particular list anywhere, in between also and in the end also. But if you want to add any item in the end of the list, so the keyword that you can use, or the function that you can use for the same, for doing the same, is append. So this is how you can use this append function. Like if you want to add this subject, information technology. Okay, and let's now print this list 1 and check out what is the output we are going to get. So this is what you're going to get in the output part. Now here, as you can see, the information technology is getting reflected right at the end. Why? Just because of this append function we have made use of here. Okay, just because of this append function which we have made use of here. Fine. Now let's talk about how can you remove items from the list. The remove method removes the specified item. Let's do it. Let's understand it practically. I'm going to create a list again, and we will make use of a remove function for removing this item with name IT. Now here you don't have to make use of the index number, you have to make use of the name of the items, which name of the item you want to remove from this list. So now if you will print this list 1, what will we get in the output? Let's check it out. So as you can see, earlier there were 4 items, now there are only 3 items left in this list. Let's talk about, if suppose you want to make use of index number for removing any item which is there present in this list, how can you do that? So there is a function called pop which you guys can make use of for doing the same. So this is what you are going to get. The pop method removes the specified index. Now if you will print this list 1, what are you going to get as an output? This is what you're going to get as an output. Okay, so this history subject has got removed. So what you have to keep in mind, while you're using remove function, you have to pass this as a value, the name of the item, and if you're using pop method you have to specify the index number. Okay, that is absolutely correct. Now let's see what will happen if we'll make use of this function named clear. What is going to happen to this list 1? Let's see. So everything has got removed. What has this clear function done? This clear method empties the list. The list still remains, but it has no content. Okay, so this is the function of this clear function. This is how you can make use of clear function for removing all the items which are present in a particular list. Now let's talk about looping through a list. See, you can loop through the list items by using for loop. For example, let's make this list again. Okay, so So this is list 1 that we have created again. Now if you want to loop through the list items of this list, we can make use of this for loop. For x in, then we have to write down the name of the list and then place a colon and print x. So what is going to happen? Initially the value of x will be equal to 0. After that, when the x is equal, when the value of x is equal to 0, it is going to come here. Now what is the name of the item which is present on index 0? It is computer, so computer will get printed just because of this print x statement which we have mentioned over here. After this, the compiler is going to go back here, and what it will see that the value of x has got incremented by 1, and now the new value of x will be equal to 1. So what is the name of the item which is present on index number 1 in this list? It is IT. So when the compiler will come back on this print x command, it is going to print the name of the item which is present on this index number x, and likewise the loop will continue. Now let's talk about sorting. How can we sort a list? So for sorting the list alphabetically, see, list objects have a sort method that will sort the list alphanumerically ascending by default. Let me explain it to you practically. Now if suppose you want to sort this list, sort the items of this list alphanumerically, how can you do that? So for doing that, we can make use of this sort function. When you will print this string, that is list, what is the output you're going to get? So you're going to see an output like this. So now it is sorted alphanumerically or alphabetically. Okay, so that's how, using this sort function, you can sort the items which are present in the list alphabetically. Or if you want to create a copy of this list 1, how can you do that? If you want to create a duplicate of this list, that's what I mean. So for doing that, we can make use of, there is a function called copy, okay, which we can use for creating a duplicate of this list, creating a copy of this list, existing list. Now when you will print this list 2, what are you going to get in the output part? This is what you will get as an output. So now whatever items are there in this list 1, they are also there present in this list 2. Okay, so that's how, using this copy method, you can create a copy of an existing list. Now let's talk about how can we join two lists. See, there are several ways to join or concatenate two or more lists in Python. One of the easiest ways are by using plus operator. For example, if suppose you have got a list like this in which we have some integer values. Now if you will, let's create one more list in such a way that it should have the items, all the items which are there in list 1 as well as the one which are there in list 2. So that's how you can do it. List 3, sorry. Okay, when you'll press enter and print this list 4, this is what you are going to get as an output. Now all the items which are there in list 1 as well as list 3 are there present in list 4. So that's how, this is one of the easiest method you can concatenate two or more strings with. Okay, you can use for concatenating two or more strings. Now let's talk about one more method, that is append. So for doing that, see, we have got two lists right now, three lists. Okay, so we are going to take this one. Where is that? Yeah, we are going to take list 1 and we are going to take this list 3. Okay, now here what I will do, I am going to make use of this for loop for x in list 3. Let's say list 3 list, sorry, I have not placed a colon after this statement, that's the reason I am getting an error. So list 1, okay, list 1 dot append x. Let's see what are we going to get is an output if we'll print this list 1 now. So now this is what you're going to see in the output. So all the items which are there in this list 3 have got successfully appended to this list 1. So that's why you are seeing these numbers also in this list 1 now. So this is one of the methods you guys can use for adding the items of 2 or more strings. Okay, that's it for this lecture. Hope you enjoyed it a lot. Please do practice them at your home on your respective device.